There were definitely periods of my life that felt really difficult, particularly when I was grappling with my own fertility journey, infertility, IVF. That was a big part of my life. Then we got divorced, marriage kind of broke down just before we went into lockdown. So I kind of parked the whole thing. I thought, head down, need to just carry on working in corporate, pay the bills, that kind of thing. But it was like a niggle that just never left me, because I knew that the issues we had was because we didn't get the right support. So I kind of wanted to become that support.
Very different sort of motivation, isn't it? Sort of like, what's your mission before working in corporate to then doing something that actually makes a difference and actually helps people?
Bit of business coaching, bit of hypnosis training. And I remember saying to her that I want to get out of corporate to have a better work-life balance. And she kind of had a quiet word with me of like, you're doing the wrong thing.
It's really sort of quite a hard grind, isn't it, to get things going?
It's taken me a long time to realise that it's not just the marketing and it's not just what you have available, it's actually the confidence that you have in yourself.
Okay, good morning, and welcome to the Midlife Revamp Diaries. Today I'm talking to Karen Deulofeu, a fertility, pregnancy and postnatal coach. Hello, Karen.
Hi there. Thank you for having me. It's really nice.
Well, thank you for coming. Tell me, where are you based, Karen?
I'm based in London.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about what you do and who you work with.
So, as you rightly said, I'm a fertility, pregnancy and postnatal coach, and I support people, generally ladies, who are at all stages of their journey to motherhood, out the other side, and also if they don't have children and coming to terms with that. So it can be people that are trying to conceive naturally through IVF, or pregnant after a difficult journey, or postnatally. My big thing is to help with that kind of infertility trauma piece, the emotional mindset piece going through it all.
Okay.
That was a bit long-winded, sorry.
No, perfect. But obviously, like a lot of us, especially on this chat about midlife revamps, you had a busy career before becoming a coach. You weren't always a coach. Tell us a bit about that. I believe you were a lawyer and spent some time in corporate.
Yeah, so a lot of my career I've worked in London, was a lawyer originally by trade, if you like. Technically, I still am, although not practicing. And then moved into insurance. I was a loss adjuster across Spanish-speaking countries for a few years, travelled a lot with that to South America and Spain, and then went into legal project management and headed up an EMEA team within that for one of the biggest legal tech firms globally. So that was very interesting, very, very different from coaching, all very different. But then one way or another found myself into coaching about 4 or 5 years ago.
Tell a little bit about what you did like about that previous life.
Oh gosh, lots of different bits about it. I often say it was almost like theatre a little bit. You get all suited and booted and you go into London and it's a different kind of life. In one way that was difficult, but actually in another way, in retrospect, that was actually really quite fun. And the people, the social side of it, the nitty-gritty, the meatiness of the work was really interesting. I did a lot of client-based work, so working with the clients. And a lot of my work actually was kind of in various capacities, kind of being able to translate quite difficult things in a way that people understand and it works for them, and that kind of thing. And that was definitely something I liked. Obviously, those water cooler moments or trips to the cafe kitchen for coffees were highlights.
I miss those days. I really, really miss those days.
And the chats over the coffee machine.
So what about the not so good stuff? What were the things that you weren't in love with about those kind of corporate days?
So I mentioned there that it felt like theatre, and at the same time as enjoying that, there were definitely periods of my life that felt really difficult, particularly when I was grappling with my own fertility journey, infertility, IVF. That was a big part of my life for 10-ish years.
Right.
So that was definitely difficult. I used to work a lot of long hours, so that was sometimes tricky. And the kind of, I think it morphs through different careers and different work, but the kind of expectations and depending on what's going on in your life, certainly the last place I worked, it was a big American company, and the expectation wasn't just in terms of output, it was in terms of passion and love of the job and love of the company. And I think when you go through certain things in life, you just kind of lose that passion.
I mean, you
You
don't want to be all rah, rah, rah all day.
Yeah, you can still have the drive for the role, but sometimes the passion has dwindled slightly. And that was certainly tricky towards the end of my corporate life.
But
Yes.
tell us about the change. What happened? Was there a particular moment or catalyst or event or something that made you go, I'm done? Or was it more of a slow burn?
I think there were lots of different things that kind of led to it, to be honest. There wasn't a huge catalyst as such, but there was definitely periods where it just didn't quite sit right, and I couldn't put my finger on what it was. Um, and when I was pregnant, postnatal, I struggled a little bit with some different bits and pieces. I didn't have postnatal depression, at least not diagnosed, but there was definitely some trickiness. And although I asked for support, the support that I needed wasn't available. It was a lot of kind of counselling, talk, and that wasn't what I needed. I needed kind of proactive support. We needed it as a family because we didn't have family close by, and things started to unravel basically in our marriage. Um, so I realized then the frustration of a need for support, and it got me kind of looking into different kinds of support and what could be out there and what do people need. And that got me slowly into finding this training program where the lady was training people to become fertility coaches. So I started that just as a interest really, but as I
Okay.
watched it, I was like, oh my God, this is what I needed. This is what we needed. So trained in that, realized the value in it. Then we got divorced, marriage kind of broke down just before we went into lockdown. So I kind of parked the whole thing and thought, head down, need to just carry on working in corporate, pay the bills, that kind of thing. But it was like a niggle that just never left me because I knew that the issues we had was because we didn't get the right support. So I kind of wanted to become that support. Um, and because of that niggle that I just can't let go, I started on the side training in other things and trained in NLP and hypnosis and EFT, if you're familiar with that. So really did loads of the training and kind of on the side of corporate was building up this business.
So
Just as
how long was that period of time where you were kind of juggling that, holding together the
mm,
corporate stuff and sort of doing a little bit of a, retraining with a view to potentially doing something else,
probably around 18 months.
right?
I didn't start taking clients until I finished all the training. Probably a bit of the legal side of me was like, oh my God, I wanted to know what I was talking about before I started getting clients. Um, so I did all of the training, which took a couple of years whilst in corporate. Then I set up the business officially, the website, started putting myself out there, and probably 6 months later, had a couple of clients and saw that this was a thing, and then left corporate probably around 6 months later, with the
Right.
intention
And
of,
that, you did, that's pretty good to sort of
yeah.
get the business up and running in 6 months and taking that massive leap of faith, isn't it?
And I think it comes from a passion, that kind of passion that I didn't have for corporate anymore. I had for something else. And it was the passion not only to start my own business, but actually to give that support to people that desperately needed it. And it really is that desperation.
Yeah.
And coming from a place of somebody that myself that hasn't only experienced infertility, but experienced divorce as a result of, in some ways, the lack of support and that ripple effect of infertility that followed through, and just that drive for other people not to go through what we've been through. Because
Very, very different sort of motivation, isn't it? Sort of like, what's your mission before? working in corporate to then doing something that actually makes a difference and actually helps people. I suppose that's an important aspect, right?
100%. Yeah. You have to have that drive to make it work. And you have to see how, well, from my perspective, because you have to see how it can work and the kind of what else it can be. Because it's more than just business.
So tell us a little bit about your life sort of now. How is it different? How has it improved, compared to life before?
It's really funny. When I was still in corporate but training, I was part of my training was with this lady who'd had a successful hypnosis practice herself, and she was training other people in it. Bit of business coaching, bit of hypnosis training. And I remember saying to her that I want to get out of corporate to have a better work-life balance. And she kind of had a quiet word with me of like, you're doing the wrong thing. And I was like, no, it'll be amazing. I'll just work hardly any hours and la la la. But I'm actually really glad that she said that to me, because the truth is it does take a lot of work. It does take a lot of hours. But it's funny, I was thinking about this just last night. It's like 10 o'clock at night and I was doing some work, but I was enjoying doing it. And I was doing it because I wanted to do it, which sounds really cheesy, but
I think
it
that's the
was,
key, isn't it? It's the flexibility.
and it is, and
Setting up your
that
own business, you don't do less hours, especially at the beginning. It's really sort of quite a hard grind, isn't it, to get things going. As you say, you can work first thing in the morning, or you can work in the evening, or you can take some time off during the day, or you could, you have the choice, the freedom, isn't it, to sort of organize your day how suits you.
completely. And I mean, when I was in corporate, I would be out of the house 8 till 7 on a good day. Um, and certainly with having my son, he's going to be 6 next month, um, maybe it's a bit of a legacy infertility piece of still being like, I want to be there for him. But yes, I do a lot of hours, but I can be there for him. And no, I don't pick him up at 3:30 every night because he quite likes doing his after school clubs, to be completely honest. But I am there for him, and I have been to every single theatre thing, assembly thing, whatever the parents are allowed to go to, I'm there. And it's amazing to be able to have that kind of flexibility. And the summer holidays, I mean, they're coming up next week. And it's been the talk of everybody that I know for probably the last month of how they're going to juggle and and to be completely honest, for a little bit of that, I felt a bit weird that I wasn't putting him into these holiday camps and all these kind of things. But actually, that's why I'm doing this work, that I don't, he doesn't have to go to those places, and he can if he wants to and it works for us. But actually, I have that time to be able to be there for him and that time for myself as well. Like this morning, I went for a walk for 45 minutes because that's what I
Yeah.
needed myself. So it's a juggle for sure, and you have to be disciplined about your time and focused and all of those things. But it does give you more flexibility, really.
I mean, a lot of the women that I work with and talk to, flexibility is the number one thing that drives people to sort of make a midlife career change or a lifestyle change. Because, lots of us who come from corporate, it isn't flexible generally. People aren't understanding about, flexible days, flexible times, kids, holidays, and it's tough.
Completely. And even those, I mean, to be fair, the last role that I had, I got on really well with my manager, and it was, to be honest, it was pretty flexible. Like I could have said, especially post-COVID, that work from home is much easier, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But even in those flexible roles, it's a different kind of flexibility,
Yeah.
and you do it for yourself. And it can be a quick, a couple of weeks ago, but my bad. But I received a message from school that there was something happening half an hour later. I had completely gone off my radar, but I was able to go. Whereas if I was in corporate, I would be an hour away from home. It-
You might have to beg to leave.
right. And yeah, just the flexibility is everything. But like anything, there's fors and against, and
Course.
flexibility is one of the things that's super beneficial for it. with it, with it.
So looking back, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Is there anything that you would do differently?
Oh, big question. I think I'm not sure if other people would say this, but I hadn't anticipated how much confidence you need when setting up your own business. And passion is one thing, and being able to talk about it is one thing. And I do that loads. Like anyone that listen, I'm like, this is my journey. This is what I do. But actually, the when you're not used to putting things out for people to come and work with you, and I think corporate can be quite even if you're confident in corporate, there's always somebody else to ask. There's always somebody, generally speaking, even if you're quite senior, there's somebody else that kind of you can ask the questions to, that you can rely on. And that doesn't happen in when you're an entrepreneur or have your own business. So I guess it's taken me a long time to realize that it's not just the marketing and it's not just what you have available, it's actually the confidence that you have in yourself, in the delivery of it, and in the does this making sense?
Yeah, and how would you say you achieved or gained that confidence?
Um, work on myself, recognition of what's happening, understanding that I mean, there's a bit of a thing, right? I'm sure you've heard it, done is better than perfect. Um, but I think I took that to the extreme and I had quite a lot of done things. So it felt quite messy.
Oh, I agree, but I'm probably the opposite. I err more towards the perfect. It needs to be perfect rather than just get it out there.
And I
I think
think
that's one of the things of business, isn't it? It's like when you're in corporate, you want to do everything perfectly, or get it
right.
all done. Whereas when you start your own business, it is a bit more like, look, good enough is going to have to be
Sorry.
get it out there, and we'll sort of improve upon it as we go. For me, that's been one of my learning curves.
And I think it's kind of, you feel like when you put something out there or when you show up, it has to be the final thing. But actually, there's a lot to be said for like testing the waters and being like, is this the kind of thing that you want? Is it just all up in my head, or is this what you actually want? And not being afraid to put things out there, to put suggestions out there. Like, for example, I put something because and this is something that I hadn't anticipated, and it sounds a bit woo, but I see it happen so many times to me that your energy and how you're feeling about something comes across in how you talk about it. Like, for example, I put something out locally recently. It's a free event for people. Um, and it just kind of came to mind, and I put out this post, and it was very natural. It was very kind of, I'm not looking for anything. It's not a sales thing. I'm just wondering if anybody would be interested in this. I had like 55 responses, which is bonkers and that is quite huge in this sort of space. You don't
Yeah.
get these kind of things really. But it's because I think it was it was like inviting you to a party. It was
And from the
that
heart, I suppose.
yeah, and it was just very chilled, very kind of without expectation. Whereas I think, especially if you're new in business, you feel like there's this big expectation on you to be a certain person. You compare yourself that have been doing it for years and years and years. But we have to be very aware of where we are, who we are, and work to our next level, not somebody else's next level.
Yeah, keeping your own lane, isn't it? Because we're all at different stages of, our journey.
Yeah, kind of one step ahead of where you are, but in your own lane at the same time.
So, any words of wisdom or advice for anyone out there who's feeling a bit stuck, is thinking about a career change?
Uh, first thing that I thought of was just do it, but maybe not. I would say find your passion.
Yeah.
Find your passion. Don't do it because you want an easy life, because I think it needs to be more than that. But find your passion or something that you're good about or good at. The thing that you could talk the hind legs off a donkey about. And yeah, try it. Try it. Because if you don't try it, there's the other thing, right? If you don't try it and you look back, how are you going to feel?
Well, it's very much that, like, life's too short, isn't it? Life is honestly too short to be stuck in a job you've fallen out of love with. That, you know, you wake up on a Monday morning like, oh God, a whole week ahead, or it's the summer and you go, oh God, I don't want to go back in September. It's like that whole kind of back to school thing, isn't it? I look back at mine now and think I wish I'd taken the leap earlier.
Mm. And nothing is
It's
forever.
tough, but
Like if you take the leap and for one reason or another you want to go back, there's a good chance you can.
yeah.
Nothing is forever, and there is probably going to be a period where you're straddling both, which is really valuable. And yeah, just give it a try. No regrets.
So, if anyone out there would like to talk to you about you and your project, where can they get hold of you, or what's the best way to contact you or talk to you?
So I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn with my name. And you can attach my name to this, hopefully. This is a tricky one. Or I'm on Instagram as fertilitycoach.liliama.
Okay.
Um, or my website, Liliama Coaching, Lilyama coaching.co.uk. And yeah, feel free to reach out. Very, very happy to chat. I've had quite a lot of people reach out who've gone through fertility journeys and are interested in coaching. So
Okay.
yeah, if that applies to anybody for change of career or even support through their own fertility journey, then yes, reach out.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thank
And
you. It's been
maybe,
great.
maybe we'll have you come on again and talk in sort of more detail about, what you do and steps that people can take if they're in a situation like that. Often people don't really know how much support is actually available out there, do they? And that's kind of the thing.
And the thing for me is you need the support after the event as well. So even if the fertility journey was a long time ago, there's a good chance some support potentially could be valuable. So you don't have to be going through it right now to be getting the support. So yeah, for sure, I'd be happy to
Very
do
much. And great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Really
bye.
nice to meet you too. Take care.